Welcome everybody to this OfficeLogix video. We're going to do an unboxing of a headrest that's out there that just came out. So we always believe competition is good and healthy for the market. This is just another option for the customers, and so we'll take a look at it and see what we think. Obviously there's going to be a little bit of a bias, but everyone can make their own decisions and evaluation. We're going to make our own from our own chair perspective as people that have been working for over 10 years in the chair industry. So we got a box here that's about 16 by 12 inches, and then the height of it is 4 or 5 inches, so not bad. We got made in the USA right here. We got Atlas headrest and their logo and their slogan. Pretty standard, simple box. You got a single piece of tape on the vertical line. There isn't necessarily some insulation. There is a divider in between the actual headrest component and the bracket that holds it up. Pretty cushiony, and it's actually curved, concave. I know BTOD likes convex. They made theirs concave, so there it is. Cardboard with the QR code for the installation and an actual written installation guide. So you got the tools and the screws in this, and a plastic piece, molded plastic piece in there. Whoa. The bag is sealed here, for this one at least. So we're gonna rip through the sealing of that. So we got the metal bracket up on the top. We have molded plastic going down vertically. We have some metal screws right here, QR code, and made in the USA mention, along with a patent number. I believe the patent number isn't necessarily regarding to the headrest for the Leap, but most likely for the Aeron and the way that it was built or assembled. I've never gotten one of these before, so we're going to follow the step-by-step instructions to assemble it. So the first step is to remove the arm assembly. This is what they call it. And we're gonna slide it onto here. So we're gonna hook from the top, and then you go to the bottom. You gotta push it a little bit and angle it when the back flexes, and then there's this little neat latch device that you're gonna push up. And they call it just a small clip at the bottom of the arm mechanism, and that secures it to the chair. This might be a little tricky, trying to hold the headrest while getting the screws in there. So I'm gonna need one hand to do that. I'm gonna use the Allen key that they give me. So they have 2 points of adjustments. They have this one at the bottom in the back, and this one at the top. I'm guessing this one controls the x-axis. So if we want to push it forward, we go like this. I don't know where those came from. These plastic. So this is a plastic piece that's on the x-axis railing. I'm not exactly sure why that popped out the way that it did, but it actually did pop out when I loosened it. But when you loosen it, it does one of these. Let me tighten it a little bit. A lot better, but still, you know, there's that possibility, and there's no warning for that. Actually, a pointer and I will give to them is that the knob up here is rubber, so it's a little soft on the hand, but this loose aspect and these inserts that are on the protecting the metal rails, or to make them smoother in the function of the x-axis, is a little concerning, because without even knowing, I just did one of these things while it was loose and it completely popped out, and it kind of wobbles now in all directions when it's super loose. If it does pop out, you make sure to put it back in, because I'd imagine it impairs function if you don't have it. In terms of this lower knob right here, also rubber, so pretty decent in that construction. But let's see what that does functionality wise. Okay, gives you a nice smooth up and down. So pretty decent actually on this side, the y-axis. This here still a non-adjustment point in terms of like torquing it down. There's no knobs. It's just by friction purely. What concerns me with 100% pure friction adjustments is that when they're 100% friction adjustments, they might be great when you first set them out. Over time, an absolute must that it's going to actually wear down, and so it might get looser with time. So that's something that probably people that have longer term experience could talk about. Now let's give this a whirl in terms of sitting on it and see how it does. I'm 5'10" and I'm 200 pounds. I'd say average for most. I think right now where it's at, it's already really low. So I want to raise the height, and that's the first point of concern because it's hitting me in my shoulders. can I do that without getting up off the chair? So it's already torqued down over in the back. I'm doing it. I can't lift it up. If I do it too far, it's gonna break this. So I'm gonna actually be forced to try to do this while standing up. But that's only because I know it's impossible for me to reach behind and get that knob. I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying. I don't know. It's straining my shoulder pretty bad and I can't get it. Not with my left. It's like I can barely just get a finger on it, and that's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to stand up and get this. I've adjusted it. Now it's actually pretty high for me, not exactly where I want it to be. So let's try pushing it down maybe while standing. I'm not gonna push any further than this. I don't want to break this. So pushing down is gonna put pressure on this X-axis joint, and I think it would definitely break it if I try to push it down just purely from here. So the verdict is definitely you need to 100% stand up before adjusting the height on this. So I untorqued it. Now I'm adjusting it. So I have to guess exactly where I want to be at, then tighten it because I don't want it to be misadjusted after I put my head on it. I don't want it to slide up or down in any way, shape, or form. Let's assume this is where I want it at, even though this is actually a little bit high for me and a little bit forward. Let's adjust the X-axis while I'm sitting. This is even more painful than trying to reach for the vertical. I can barely reach it with one finger. This is where I'm guessing is going to probably be optimal for myself. So this is much better, but again, it's not perfect, but we'll go with that right now. So I will give them that the cushion material is really good. I don't agree that a convex headrest is probably ideal. I think a concave headrest is better because it's going to probably cradle your head. Another point for them also is you can adjust the angle while you're sitting down. So that is actually a good function and feature. That's pretty much it when it comes to adjustability while you're sitting in the chair. You can't necessarily do the other points of adjustment while you're sitting in the chair. So definitely not the X-axis or the Y-axis. There's no way, unless maybe you're more flexible than I am. And I think I have average flexibility. At the highest point, if I were to lean back, it's not that comfortable because the top of my head is hitting the lower part of it, which I could see like preventing it from being in a comfortable position. And I'm also looking at it from the perspective of if I was taller, I think I would definitely want something significantly higher in terms of the height. The people that are 6 foot and above, they're gonna want something significantly above. Though the lowest point is pretty low, actually. I'll give them that. The lowest point of the headrest goes significantly low and deep into the chair. It's at my shoulders. I think you got a decent headrest in terms of the cushion. The cushion material is pretty good. I think the concave structure and form is pretty good as well. It cradles the head in that way. But also you have the issues with, I think, the X and the Y axis being controlled exclusively from a position behind the chair. It's not something that you can actively do while you're sitting. You still do have the tilt function of the headrest that you can do while you're sitting, which is great. But I do worry about the durability of that aspect because there's no tension or torquing that could potentially wear down, since it is exclusively a friction-based mechanism, and that's always on. It's not like you can loosen it or tighten it over time. In terms of the matching, the material is completely different than the materials that the Leap has. This is our own fabric, but even on the OEM fabrics, from our experience, we've had thousands of Leaps. This is not a match in terms of that. Also, the aesthetics doesn't match the overall structure of the Leap. This, as we know, was made for the Aeron and adapted to the Leap. And because of that, you can tell that there's not much in terms of the back looking like it matches the aesthetics of the Leap. That's not there. There's the Atlas logo, which is there a couple times, here embossed into the plastic and here into a small plate that kind of overtakes and covers the Steelcase branding right here. So the Steelcase branding is compromised, which someone that cares about, getting a Steelcase chair may or may not be interested in. That's something that we took into consideration when we always make a headrest for the chair. The headrest is secondary to the branding of the chair. The chair's branding is first. It's an accessory, not the primary focus. I think it's a decent product. It's great as an option for individuals that really care for the X-axis control that we mentioned, because it does provide a very big range of X-axis, but there's still a big question mark in terms of the durability of that X-axis and how it will perform, since it's kind of flimsy at this point here. There's a way that this potentially, if I continue to screw it, it might actually fall off. And let me actually just test that. You know, user error does happen, and even if that's not the way it was intended, it's possible that this is the way that it's supposed, that people might interpret it, and anyone could easily loosen it, and this could happen, and at that point the whole thing falls apart. So I mean, like with the pricing we're talking about, like we said, $200 all in, a little bit of a steep of price to pay, especially if you're looking to attach this to a refurb chair of any sort, while we have entire chairs that are at the $550 price point with the matching headrest for the chair. So it's going to match the fabrics that we have on our chairs 100%, and also is going to match the plastic frames 100% on any chair, whether it's a refurb or not. What won't match necessarily, but I'd say a very strong and close match in terms of colors, are the fabrics from Steelcase and the fabric color that we have on our headrest. So I think there's going to be a very strong correlation. Those colors we try to match perfectly, but it was our utmost importance first to match our own chairs, because people are buying them as bundles, and that's a large percentage of how people are getting the headrest from us. That being said, again, you know, we got a very large sector of people that are very happy with that. So let's move on.